And as I mentioned, between Mincha and Mariv, when you finish the mitzvah of Eimer, it's an Eis Ratzon, completion of a mitzvah, not an easy mitzvah, a mitzvah that takes 49 days in a row, and therefore it's an Eis Ratzon to ask Hashem for something. I ask Hashem that we should be able to learn like Gesund, to finish Shas together many times. Okay. In preparation, we were talking about Shloshis Mei Agbola is a time to prepare. What better preparation than to learn two blat tonight in preparation of Matan Torah? We are holding by Amarava ahead a little bit, 4 lines from the top of Daf Kuf Gimel, as we are sponsored by A.B. Spry and family and Michal Avram and family, as we welcome in Aaron Swade, Mel Zachter, Dr. Guy, we welcome in Saba, Ruven Pollack, Shalom Fogel, Irving Fishbaum, Eddie Chazan, Dr. Block, Mark Frankel. Mark, I have something nice to show you. Straight hot off the press. Hot
very excited.
Hot off the press already. A bunch of people chapped the mice to use on Shavuos. Mamish hot off the press. It came. I ordered. I made 500, but they sent me 50 by air. So they told me the 50 by air will come before Yom Tov. So in case somebody wants it before Yom Tov over here, they should be able to have it.
I might have to drive in, Rabbi.
To get it before Yom Tov. But I'm gonna send you. You should see right away. I'm gonna send you one, Shelley. I'll send you one. Eddie, I don't know where to send it. Should I send one to every state?
Can you hold on to it for me, Russ?
Do you know where you'll be on Monday?
I won't have it by next Monday.
Yeah.
Was it tomorrow? I'm in New Orleans, but I'll send you my sister's address. You could send it there for me, b'vakasha.
Well, do you know where you're going to be on Monday?
Next Monday?
Yeah.
Somewhere in Florida.
So get me an address in Florida. I'll send it to Florida.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you, Russ.
Just tell us which police station,
All right,
Now,
whatever you don't go to Spain.
Okay, and we welcome in Mark Frankel, Dr. Yudel, Menachem Yamansky, Nachman Chapler, Shimon Klein, Aaron Swade. Nachman, are you ready here in Lakewood?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. So we'll see you tomorrow night?
No, not on freeways. I'm going to go to my son.
Oh, well, we'll miss you.
Yeah,
We'll miss you. Aaron Swade, Yitzi Fuchs, Moshe Lehman, Yitzi Muller, Rabbi Kranz, Yeshua Shmuel Eisenberg, Abe Arbach, Shelley Zeitlin, Yehuda from Yerushalayim. Here in Shul, we have Ruvain Shanit, we have Michal Avram, we have Rich Lenner, we have Avram Rezepkowitz, Berish Gesseman. Is Gedalia in the back there, or he left?
I saw him go.
I didn't see him up there. It was just out there. He may be upstairs.
Michal, okay. So, and David Helfkat on Kol HaLashon. So, what are we doing here? The Gemara says, Amar Rava, Amar Rav Nachman. Haiman de Oger le Beisa lechavrei. I rent a house to Mark le'eser shnin for 10 years. Because of le'ishtara, and I give him a lease that says that it's leased to him for 10 years, signed by witnesses. Now, this is very important because, remember we learned that there's something as a cheskas gimel shanim, that when somebody occupies a land 3 years, he could claim he bought it. Now, since I leased it from Mark for 10 years, I get a little nervous that Mark could say that he bought it and he didn't have to hold the paper. Now, I could protest every 3 years just to make it But what I did is I wrote a lease, and with a lease there's witnesses signed by the renowned Dr. Block and Shimon Klein. And witnesses have a curl, so that the purpose of my writing this lease is also to make it known that it's not Mark's, that he didn't buy it, that he shouldn't claim I bought it and I'm occupying it 3 years. Don't worry, Mark, I got all bases covered over here. So anyway, I leased it to him for 10 years because of the shtar. And I said to him, you know, Mark, Nikitas Chameshnin, you lived in the area already 5 years. Now Mark says, what are you talking about? I'm only here 3 years and I get 7 more. So the din is mehem, and I'm believed. And the reason why I'm believed is I'm the balakarka, I'm the owner, I'm the murzik, and therefore I'm believed to say that he lived in it already 5 years, unless he could prove that he only lived in it 3 years. Amalei Rav Achman Diftil Ravina Elamiyata Oisvei Meyazuzei Bishkara. If I gave a loan of 100 zuz with a promissory note, V'amalei, and Mark says, Paraticha Palga, I paid half. Hachanami de Mehemen, is he believed? Just to say he paid half, after all, he's the murzik in the money. So the Gemara says, no, that's different. I have a promissory note to collect $100. Im isa de pare, if he paid half, either he should have wrote an addendum on the promissory note that half was paid, or else he should have asked for a receipt that he paid 50. But Mark, the reason why I wrote you the lease for 10 years is for my protection. That you shouldn't claim that you bought it. And therefore, what?
Doesn't it have his man on the star?
Yeah, no.
Yes, it does.
So isn't that a proof of how long he was there?
No, no, it doesn't. Oh, you mean from when it started?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't have it. You're right. If it would have it, it would be fine, but it doesn't have to have it. It just says that he leased it for 10 years. Now, and that basically is proof to the pudding that was the purpose of the shtar, that it shouldn't be Mark's occupation shouldn't be a chazaka. Amar Rav Nachman, shoyel adam betuvai la'olam. This is an interesting thing. If Rabbi Kran says that he's borrowing my vacuum cleaner as long as it's in working order, then he could use it as long as it's in working order. And that means that even if he gives it back to me, he could take it again. But he had to make a kinyan. And since that's Caleb Shalkaina, to strengthen the arrangement, he gives me his handkerchief, and he says he has use of my vacuum cleaner as long as it's functioning. Amar Rav Mari brought about Rav Ashi, but he only has use of it as long as it's functioning, and therefore if he borrowed an axe, if it breaks, he has to return me the handle because now it's not functioning anymore. Amar Rava, Haiman do Amalei lechavrei oishlin mara lemirpak bay hai pardisa. Here, Elliot says he wants to borrow a hoe to work to dig this orchard. So then Rafik Behawu Pardisa, he could only use it for that orchard. Pardisa, if he doesn't say Ahu Pardisa, he wants to borrow a hoe to shovel a orchard, Rafik Beikol Pardisa the boy. He could use it for any orchard he chooses. Pardise, he says he wants to borrow the hoe to shovel orchards. Rafik v'azal kol Pardise de Islay. He then could shovel all the orchards that he has. And if it's not functioning, that means if it breaks, he has to return me the handle. Amra Papa. Haiman the Amr le lechavre Oishlun hai gargusa. Ruvain tells me he wants to borrow the well on my land to irrigate his field. And he said, Hi Gargusa, this well, Vinofla, if the wall of the well caves in, then loy banila. He has no permission to rebuild it because he just asked to borrow this well. If it falls apart, he can't make a new one. If he says, Gargusa, if he says a well, so, and I say, okay, vinafla, and it collapses, banila. If he says be gargusa, if he says, I want to borrow from you an area to dig a well. So now, when you dig a well, you have to do test diggings to see where you're going to hit water. You know, something like when, Mark used to go to Texas to, hunt for oil. He had to dig around until he found his first million, right? But, right, so here, if Ruvain says he wants to borrow from me an area for a well, Kari v'ozul kama gargusnei ba'are, he could dig many test diggings, adam isramule, until he chances upon a place where there's enough water. However, in order to have the right to dig around throughout my field, he has to make a kinyan, and he gives me his handkerchief, and in lieu of that, I allow him to do test diggings in order to find a well to irrigate with. Now, new Mishnah. Just getting on the way over here on a double header on a Erev Yom Tov, the last of the Shloshis Yimei Hagbala. As we get ready for Yom Matan Toroseinu, what Rav Miller calls the most memorable day of history, of all annals of history. Hamasker bayis l'chaveiroi. If, let's say, I rent a house to Mark, v'nafal, and the house collapses, chayiv lahamid loy bayis, I have to put it up again. How you cotton? If it was small, lo yasenu gadol. I can't make it big because Mark doesn't want to have to clean so much. Gadol, if it's big, lo yasenu cotton. I can't make it small. He has a lot of company. Echad, if it's one room, lo yasenu shnayim. I can't make it 2 rooms. He wants to have one big airy room. Shnayim, if it's 2 rooms, he has 2 people living there, lo yasenu echad. I can't make it 1. Lo yivchais min hakalonis, I can't make less windows because he wants light. V'lo yosev aleim, he doesn't want, he wants privacy. Ela b'dash neim, I can't deviate unless it's with the knowledge of both of us. Now, what's the case over here? If I said I'm renting you this house, Nafal, if it fell down, Ozale, the agreement is over. I just said I'm renting you this house. Idamale bayistam, if I just said a house, if it's 1 room, why can't I make it 2 rooms? Cotton, if it's small, I didn't say any specifications. I just said a house. Amarei Shlokish, the Amalei Bayish Ani Maskelach. I tell Mark, the house that I'm renting you, Midas Orkoi Kach V'Kach. Its dimensions are this and this long and this wide. So the Gemara says, duh. So Yaki, if so, then Malam Emra. Then what's the Chiddush? If so, then that's obvious. Ela ki asa Rav and Amarei Shlokish, the Amalei Bayis Kizeh Ani Maskelach. A house like this I'm renting you. So again the Gemara says, Makati Malam Emra. I said like this. Leitzricha de Koya Guda Dinara. It was by the marina. You know, Mark with his boat, with his yacht. You never saw Mark's yacht. He wants a house by the marina. You should see him with his cap and his, he's really something, blowing in the wind, right? So I might think when I said kazeh, it just means by the marina. Ma'od is saying, my kazeh the koyaguda denara, that it's by the beach. Kamash Malon, that kazeh means everything. You should see Rich, he's getting hungry. Now, boy, I'm very thirsty. Hadron Lach Hashayel. I don't know why right before Yom Tov we don't have water, we don't have anything in the refrigerator. It doesn't make sense.
I have some bottle, I'll bring up some big bottle.
Let's understand. What? Somebody is going to take care of it. We should huh? Okay, I'm just saying somebody's I spoke to Baruch today. Somebody has to take care of it.
I'll take care of it right now.
What?
I actually have a case of 24 bottles in my car.
Yeah, okay, but don't miss the daf. You don't have to. No. Now, says the Mishnah, now here, what happened is, now, we're going to see that there's two things that we're going to be talking about, kablonis and chakiris. Kablonis is what we call in this as arisus, a sharecropping arrangement. Chakiris is where Shelley works my field, and he guarantees to pay me 100 bushels of grain, whether the field produces or not. That's called the tenant farmer, and that's a chakiris arrangement. An aris promises to give me, the landowner, a percentage, whether it's a third, whether it's a quarter, whether it's 50%. That's arisus, or as we're going to call kablonas. So I'm a kabel sadme chavera. In the first two Mishnahs, we'll see that it's both by arisus and chakiris. So Shelley accepts an arrangement on my field. Makom shenagu liktzar yiktzar. If the custom was to cut the grain with a sickle, he has to cut the grain with a sickle. Lakar yakar. If the custom is to uproot the grain, he has to uproot it. Lachroish acharav. If the custom is to, after harvesting, to plow the land, to get rid of the weeds, yachroish acharav. Then he has to plow it afterwards. Hakol kaminig amadina. Everything is dependent on the local custom. Kishem shechol k'mitzvur, just like we divide. This is an arrangement, just like we divide the grain. Kachol k'mitevel, so we divide the straw, ubikash, and the stubble. Kishem shechol k'miyayin, just like in a vineyard we divide the wine. Kachol k'mizmayrais, we also divide the vines, and we also divide the konim, the reeds. Now these were the reeds that were smooth reeds that were used to support the vines, to support the trellises. And the reason why we divide those reeds is because the Oris and the Balabayas both split 50-50, the providing of those reeds, and therefore afterwards they split it. Ushneim misapkin es hakonim. Now let's see the Gemara inside. Tana. Makom shenoga liktzar, if the minig is to harvest, ein rashi lakar. If the minig is lakar, to uproot, ein rashi liktzar. Ushneim ma'akvin zelzeh. I could insist that Shelley should harvest, and Shelley should is able to insist that it should be harvest. Or I could insist in a makom that the minig is to uproot, that it should be uprooted, and Shelley could also insist to uproot. Now let's see. Now, why is this? Liktzar, if the minig is to cut with a sickle, to harvest, ein rashi lakar, you can't pull it out, because Hi Amar, I say that I want that the bottom should stay in the field, in the ground, because ba'ina de titvin li aray, I want it to fertilize my land. V'hai amar loy motzinu la'aker, and Shelley says, I don't want to uproot it, it's too hard. It's easier to just cut it with a sickle. Now, Eina Rashi Liktzar, if the minig is to uproot it, then you can't deviate it and cut it with a sickle. Hi Amar, I say I want it uprooted because Ba'ina de Tinakar Arai. I want to clear my land. They want to play soccer. I want to clear my land. V'hai Amar Ba'ina Tivna. And Shelley says, I want to pull it out because I want the straw also to share for my animals. Ushneim Akvin Zal Zel Lamali. What does it have to say? And they both could stop one another from deviating. No, matam kamer. Matam likzer ein rashi laker. If the minig is to harvest, you can't uproot. Laker, if uproot ein rashi likzer, the reason is, mishum d'shnei makvin zalzeh. They both could insist to do it like the minig, like we explained. If the minig is to harvest, so then the landowner wants it harvested because he wants the bottom to stay in the land to fertilize the land, while Shelley wants to harvest because he doesn't want to do the heavy work of uprooting it. On the other hand, if the minig is to uproot it, so the landowner wants it uprooted to clear the land, so he can be able to play pickleball, and Shelley wants to uproot it because since he's the sharecropper, he wants to get a share in the straw, so he can give it for his animals. Now, Lakroish acharav yacharoish. I'm wondering if we could have the chutzpah to bother my wife again. You know what? I don't think she would mind. You want to tell her she could come down and take what she needed. When you bring this up, tell her. Do you mind? Tell her I'm particularly thirsty, but tell her she could now come down and get what she needed. The coast is clear. So now it says, if the minig is lakroish acharav yachroish, if the minig is to plow it afterwards, you have to plow it afterwards. Now remember, I explained to you that the reason why they would plow it afterwards is in order to clear out the weeds. So pshita, that's obvious. It's talking about a place where when harvesting, they don't weed the land. V'ozl iu v'nakish. And Shelley went ahead and weeded it at the time of the harvesting. Maud is saying, I might think, Amalei, Shelley could say, Hai dinakishna, that which I weeded it. Adata deloy karivna law, that's in order that I shouldn't have to plow it again. Kamash malon, di boile lefrushale. If Shelley wanted that, he should have specified it. Without specifying it, he has to plow it. Hakol kaminig amadina, everything is according to local custom. So says the Gemara, Hakol la'asiyeh mai. What does Hakol come to include? La'asiyeh had the Tana Rabbanan, to include that which the Rabbanan taught. Mokum shenogu lahaskir ilonois al gabe karka. Here you have. Did she mind? No.
She said, I told her she could come now.
Yeah.
She's ready, so.
Okay, thank you. So, thank you very much. It's wonderful to see 25 Zoomers on. This is a difficult night. It's not an easy night. Right before Yom Tov, people are very busy with the last minute shopping. Everybody realizes that they didn't get this and they didn't get that, and they have to do this and they have to do that. Well, you know something? The best preparation for Kabbalah Torah is to learn Torah. What could be a better preparation for Kabbalah Torah than to learn Torah? Now, Hakol Kaminig Medina, Hakol La'asiyeh Mai. What does Hakol come to include? La'asiyeh Haditana Rabbanon Mokum Shenogu Lahasker Ilonois Al Gabe Karka. What happened is Mark made an arrangement to work my land. He's a sharecropper, my grain, but I have trees. So if the minig is that the arrangement applies to the trees too, then maskirin, which Mark is very happy about because the trees don't take that much work, and then it gets a share in all the fruit. So the Gemara says, I don't understand. Like Mark says, I'm a busy man. I don't need to learn Pashut things. I don't know what happened to Mark. Where'd he go?
I'm back, Rabbi. Sorry about that.
I know, you went to look for the trees. So Mark says he's a busy man. He doesn't need to learn simple things. So right away the Gemara says, Malkum Shinogul Haskir Maskirin, if the minig is to rent the trees, they're rented, pshita, duh. Says the Gemara, Leitzricha de Kuli Alma Yove Betilsa. To everyone, the sharecropper gives the owner, the landowner, 33 1/3. V'ozal ihu v'yava beriva. And Mark only gave me 25%. So I say, Mark, you only gave me 25%. I'm assuming you're not getting the trees. Now the same that which you gave me less a percentage, that I'm not giving you a share in the trees. Kamash Malan, no, if that's the case, if you want to deviate from the minig, then you have to express it. If it's not expressed, Mark gets the Paris. He's giving me only 25%. He's a cheapie. Says Gemara, then it says, if the minig is that he doesn't get the trees, and again the Gemara says, pshita, duh, of course, if the minig not to get it, he's not getting it. Everybody gets from the sharecropper 25%. And he made up that he's giving me 33 1/3. Oh, if he made up that he's giving me 33 1/3, he's going to claim he did that he should get the fruit. Now the same that which I gave you more, you obviously be honest that you're going to give me the trees. He should have said it. Just like they divide the grain, so they also divide the straw, the cash, and the stubble. Amar of Yosef, Bavel nehigu delo yehive tivna la'arisa. In Bavel, the minig is that the straw doesn't go to the sharecropper. Says Gemara, my nafkamina, the ikad inish diyav, that if I'm a nice guy and I give it, don't think that creates a change in minig. Ayin yofahu. That just means that I'm a really generous guy. V'lo gamrina minei, but we don't draw any inference of the local custom from it. Now, when giving a land for Mark to work on, Rabbi Yosef, around the land, they had an elevated mound. That elevated mound had a first layer, a second layer, and a third layer. So Rabbi Yosef Bukhra, the elevated mound around the circumference of the field, which was for security of the field, Bukhra, the first layer, the Tafta, the second layer, Kafta, the third layer, and the Kani de Chizra, and the stakes put in the ground for the thorn fence, the Balabayas. That's the responsibility of the landowner to put up. The Chizra, but the thorns that you fill in between the stakes, the Chizra Gufei Darisa, that Mark provides. Klalo de Milsa, the general principle is Kol Iker Balma, essential security, the Balabayas, is my responsibility. Netirasi Yaserta, extra security, putting like barbed wire, the thorns are like barbed wire, that's the Arisa. Vam Rabbi Yosef, Mara Uzvila, the hoe, the shovel, the davla, the bucket, the zaranuka, and a canteen for Mark to drink for in the field. The Balabayas, I have to provide. Arisa Ovid Beya. But if the Oris wants to make it easier for himself, instead of schlepping water from the river, he wants to make irrigation canals, ditches, that he has to do. Arisa Ovid Beya. Kishem Shecholkin Beyayin, just like we divide the wine, Kacholkin Mesmeiris Ubekanim, we also divide the vines and the reeds. Says what's the reeds? What is that? Smooth reeds, that's what they suspend the vines on these trellises with these reeds. What does it say? We both provide it. That's why we divide it, because in who advances the money for the reeds to support the vines? Matam kama, matam shneim cholkim b'kanim. Why do I, the landowner, and Mark split the cane, the reeds? Mishum d'shneim misapkin esakanim, because we have to both provide them in the beginning. So when the job is done, we split it. Okay, Rabbi said that's just round one. As we just stop for a moment to change the channel,